What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Gavin. This is our little community. Glad that you're here. Today's video, we are going to be going over the second part of the police interview that was done with this man, a man named Stephen Young, who was Madeline Soto's stepfather for about a year. And of course, Madeline was the 13-year-old little girl in Kissimmee, Florida, who was last seen on February 25th of this year. She was reported missing on the 26th after her mom's on-again, off-again boyfriend. This is her mom, Jen. Her on-again, off-again boyfriend, Stephen Stearns, reported that he had dropped her off at school. And then when Jen went to go pick her up, she was not there. She was later that day reported missing. And about 4 or 5 days later, it's a leap year. So anyway, 4 days later, little Maddie's body was discovered, summarily discarded in a field, kind of near a bunch of bamboo trees. So if this is your first time hearing about this case, welcome. I'm glad you are here. But you might want to go back and look at some of the other videos I've done, or head on over to my website, gavinfish.com. There is a link down below in the description that will take you to Maddie's case page, and you'll see all sorts of stuff that we have done on the case. Lots of everything. There's just so much over there. So head on over there if you would like to see more information. By the way, while I've got you over here on the website, look at this. Look at this, guys. We are closing in on 95,000 members of our little community. Not so little. It's pretty awesome, to say the very least. So, yeah, thank you all for joining me. Now, listen, before we get into listening to Stephen's recording, I just want to give you a quick heads up. I have my little software. I have a hard time going through all of your live chats. So if there's something that you want me to see, please put a GF in your live chat. And for example, I can see that Canon, Jenny77, has said, "Yeah, I made it. I'm alive." She put that GF in there. And so I know that she is talking to me, which is kind of cool how that works. So please put a GF in your comment if you would like me to see it. Oh, hang on just a second. This is a great Content Angel, which is a member of the channel and is amazing. Hey, Gavin, the great thing about your channel is that you don't really need to know all the details before tuning into a live feed. It's a feat you accomplish. Well, thank you. I try to do a quick little summary of the case every time. But yeah, that's another great example. If you put GF in the comments, I will see it. All right. With that, let's just bring Maddie up here on the screen so we don't forget who it is that we're talking about here, our victim. I'm going to put on my headphones, probably turn down my speakers, otherwise there will be an echo. And let's continue. Now, the last thing that Mr. Young said was that Jennifer Soto's mom did not like Stephen Stearns. And he was saying something like, "I wish that I could know what it was that she saw that I didn't, so that this never happens again." And I really appreciated that comment. In fact, I've backed up about 10 seconds. We're going to hear that comment again. But that is the reason, at least on my channel in True Crime, that I think that I like to look at these cases. It's not for the horror. I can get horror in fiction, right? It is for the learning opportunity. So here we go with Mr. Young.
A deal, and that was it. And now I'm hearing more and more she did not like him. She didn't trust him, and I want to know why. I want to ask her, like, what did you see that I missed? Because
Talking about
I don't want
Jen's
to
mom.
miss another person. You know, somebody else around my daughter. I want to know what traits you see that I couldn't.
So Maddie makes it back to the house. I would say condo, townhome, whatever it may be.
Yeah, the unit.
At some point that evening, Sunday evening, Stephen comes home because Jen asked him to come here to help because she's tired because of the new job.
That's the way I understand it. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of what the dynamic was? There's sleeping arrangements between Jen, Maddie, or Stefan throughout the years?
I honestly have been trying to figure that out myself. I understood that Maddie slept with Jen, and they had one room for a while. So my guess is they all slept in the same bed for a little while. I don't know when, how long, or any of that. Like that. That's always bothered me. Maddie sleeping not in her own bed, starting elementary school, like that to me is just like something a kid needs to do to self-soothe and grow to be individual and not have to rely on another person always being there. So that's always bothered me. And I've tried asking Jen about that over the years and trying to encourage her, and it's just an argument. It's just a case that it's like, I'm never going to win. So why am I to keep poking at something?
Did Jen ever mention to you that, you know, she would need to get some sleep, so Maddie would either sleep in her room or sleep in somebody else's room or anything like that?
That happened during our relationship, but it wasn't another room. It was just like, oh, can we put the kids at my mom's tonight so we could have a night off?
Gotcha. Okay.
If she would just need, like, we just has time to breathe and need space for my kids. Like, okay, let's see, you know, we can do that. And we try and let them out, but it was different when I was there. Like, nobody slept in the bed with us. Unless it was a nightmare. Like, that was my condition. And if she wanted space, then we would coordinate stuff with her family to go watch.
I don't know what conversations you've had with Ashlyn since this has all happened. Has Ashlyn confided into you?
I've asked her a lot of questions, not trying to be too pointed, but hopefully to get some stuff. Ashley, like, did he ever try and spend alone time with you, or try and just like hang out with you and Maddie alone when Jen wasn't around? Did Maddie ever talk about him, you know, specifically? Did she ever say anything positive or negative? But wanted to. Was there any point in time she wanted to specifically talk about him, like in any way? Did you ever see a mood change? And so talking about it, and she was like, yeah, like the past couple of years, she's been like, they almost like stopped playing games because Maddie was just like destroying her stuff on Minecraft, and it was frustrating my daughter. And she was like, I'm done playing with her. And then I guess like a few months ago, she just started playing nice and started playing better. And so like I'm trying to think about this with the timeline and trying to remember. I was like, is this when Jen kicked Stefan out of the house?
When was that?
That's what I'm trying to remember, when they separated. I'm trying to figure that date. Was that a few months ago? Is that when Maddie started lightening up and started feeling better and stopped being destructive to everybody around her? And did she start feeling like she could push back on this guy, you know, after being gone for a few months, and then this thing happened? And
wow, what a great, Zach, great comment. What a great observation by Mr. Young here. Is like, well, I've talked to my daughter, they don't play anymore. Maddie's being destructive. And I know that it's not like it's in a game, but it still is like lashing out, right? I wonder if that did coincide with Jen and Stefan breaking up and Stefan going back down to where was it? Northport or something like that. And then all of a sudden Maddie got happy again. I would imagine, I imagine those dates aren't too far off from one another.
So that's all Ashlyn said really is
she doesn't remember anything.
In the last couple of months, she just noticed a little bit of a demeanor change.
Yeah. She was playing a little better online, and she was acting a little nicer.
How did Ashlyn and Maddie communicate?
They text every day.
Like text messages through the phone, Snapchat, IG?
No, my daughter doesn't have Instagram. She has Discord.
What's her name on Discord?
I'd have to look it up. Give me a second. If I have service in here.
Yeah, that's
I'm
something
sure you'll see it on Maddie's as well.
This is something, by the way, that they would get search warrants for, so that they would have access to all that stuff.
Try and message her after all.
In fact, I bet this is one of the things that they are combing through in building a case against Stefan and against Jen, I hope, is going through all of the digital life of Madeline, of Jen, of Stefan, of anybody that she was connected to. I think that they are looking at the entire digital life, and I think they're going to use that to build a very, very strong case. Now, they probably have tons of direct evidence, right? They've got those images from Stefan's Google account, but I bet that there are, like, they'll be able to build circumstantial evidence where they'll be able to bring in an expert to, talk about different behavior and stuff like that. Speaking of experts, by the way, I don't mean to like totally break in here, but tomorrow we are going to be joined by Mr. Brian Bennett, who is a 20-year detective, and he specifically has expertise in strangulation. So join us tomorrow at about 7:30, at exactly 7:30 p.m. here on the channel, and we're going to be going over Maddie's cause of death. So definitely join us for that. But yeah, the experts that they will line up in psychology and psychiatry to kind of analyze Madeline's digital life, the digital lives of Jen and Stefan and other people that are connected to them, I think that will probably, be a big piece of the case against Stefan and hopefully Jen.
It was just to see if she was online, was able to pop up. So, one of the recent hays is from my daughter. I have to download it. Give me a second.
Glad you're here, Brittany.
Do you know if anybody else communicated with Maddie through Discord, like Jen, Stefan, any Jen's family, or anything like that?
This other boy, Tyler, he's the same age as Ash. They were in second grade together and been friends ever since. I think they've met each other in person maybe a couple times at Ash's birthday parties.
Okay.
But they typically just play online. He lives up in Deltona. But yeah, they've been playing together online for like 3 years now. Minecraft and stuff together. Maddie, Ash, and Tyler.
Has Maddie ever tell you or Ashlyn or anybody that she had a boyfriend or anything like that?
No, and we've talked to Tristan, Tyler's mom, as well, just to see like if there's anything he knows or said. But he says like, I really rarely ever talked to her unless Ash was present. Like they weren't that close. Like Maddie and Tyler were that close of friends to really talk one-on-one. But like anything I've thought of to ask Ash.
You know, Stefan uses Discord?
I'm sure he does. I don't know what it is, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did. I know he used Reddit. Wouldn't surprise me if he had multiple accounts and how often he was on it type deal.
Like, I know very limited stuff about Reddit. So I know Reddit is like forums that you can look at stuff or whatever. Any idea like what kind of forums he would be part of?
I only know now because his username's been put online, and I've looked through it. I didn't know beforehand.
What's his username?
Give me 1 second. I'll pull it up for you.
That's the Sustanet, right?
He's been recently on Ask Teens over the past month. I saw.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Sorry, there's a lot of text messages recently.
This is his tattoo. That Sustanet right there is his Reddit handle.
That's his username on Reddit. At least his public one. I'm still trying to see if I can have friends find any alternates that he has. Because most consistent Reddit users have at least 2 or 3.
I'm obviously not a consistent Reddit user.
You guys use way more than me, so you guys may know more about that. But
so if that's his username, you can see what forums he's part of.
You can see the ones he's posted in, just like all the places he's made comments and stuff. He has like 6.5 years of history, it looks like. The past month, like there, it's all like gaming stuff. You can see the progression over time. Like I saw a picture of him 6 years ago at my house playing tabletop games, like a picture of the board that we were playing on. Like adult board games and guns, and then Nerf guns and Tamagotchis and just more childish stuff. You can see the way he talks starts to change online. There's more emojis.
This is Mr. Young
His
here.
gender starts to become more generic and stuff. It's like you can see like there's a warp in the way he acts online. It's weird, like seeing this change. And then now it's all, and then like the past month, you can see like Ask Teens.
Ask Teens, that porn Ask Teens?
No, it's just like teens can ask questions about life. And there was even one, where is it?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have
I don't
seen
know if you guys
these.
already looked through this or not, or I'm sure you guys have another team.
I don't know if you guys have seen these, but it is scary. The kind of, I mean, he's given like fatherly advice or, you know, these kinds of things. And some of them are about like relationships and things like that. It's kind of scary to know that this kind of predator is online giving these teens this advice, trying to build these, you know, online relationships with people. That, I mean, this is predatory behavior. It's really scary. Yeah. And Mr. Young is, I mean, he has been doing the deep dive into Mr. Stearns, it looks like.
Probably does all the IT stuff, or I don't know. Yeah, there was one that was a girl was asking about being pregnant and what to do, and he responded on it, and it freaked me the fuck out.
Yeah, it just sounds like he's going through Reddit right now looking for
Like this, I'm pregnant and I don't know what to do. And him responding.
Sorry, I gotta zoom in.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Greatest.
I'll let you read that, Mark. I want to go back a little bit
Yeah.
when you were with Jen.
Mm-hmm.
I know you had said back then she wasn't on medication for her mental health. And that was kind of building up.
Yeah, not that I recall her being on meds.
Was Maddie on any medication back then?
No, not that I recall.
No.
Maddie, of course, would have been
I
like
think the
1 or
only
2
person
years
on meds
old.
was my daughter for ADD.
Okay. Do you know if Maddie has ever been on medication?
I don't.
You don't. Okay. Do you know if she's been diagnosed with anything?
I heard she was previously diagnosed with autism, but I thought I also heard she was retested, and they said she only had autistic traits, but it's not autistic.
You know when that would have been?
Within the past few years.
Yeah,
I
she
think
was
Jen told me when I talked to her earlier this month in February.
knowing now what it was that she was dealing with. I'm sure that there were all sorts of symptoms that were coming up that people are noticing and trying to figure out what the problem was, not knowing that for 5 years she had been being abused by Mr. Stearns.
That's when she told me. I think that's when she told me that she wasn't showing, or she only had traits, and she was no longer diagnosed. It was ADD. Oh, I think she had ADD, okay. and she had to take meds for that. Fuck. Sorry, there's so many kids.
Overload.
I have so many nieces and nephews and cousins.
I'm going to come back to this, Patty.
It's so many kids to keep track of. I have to call my daughter to see if she remembers, because I know they would talk about medications.
But when
and
you
stuff.
guys were together, you don't specifically remember her being on medication.
Not that I recall, other than like
Tiffany,
when she
I'll
was
come
sick
back to
type
this one
meds.
too.
Right. Okay. How was your and Maddie's relationship? Was she pretty outgoing with you? Was she more
She
reserved?
was so bubbly. She was. I always describe she was a Sour Patch Kid.
She was
She
a
was always
Sour
a little
Patch
sour
Kid.
before she was sweet. But you have to get through that little bit of sour with her, that little bit of attitude. Like every picture of her, you see like she was a little hip hop. She was just like, it's always a little. She
What a great description. Let me go back there. That is sweet. Let me come back. He's describing her as a Sour Patch Kid, and that is so sweet. Chester's mom reach out to me on my website. Well, yeah, I would. If you know that counselor, I'd love to talk to her.
Pretty outgoing with you? Was she
She was so bubbly. She was.
Listen to this.
I always describe she was a Sour Patch Kid. She was always a little sour before she was sweet, but you have to get through that little bit of sour with her, that little bit of attitude. Like every picture of her, you see like she was a little hip hop. She was just like, it's always a little, she had like this face too. She could stare across her like, what are you doing? Do you have ice cream? I know you have ice cream. Like, she's had this way about her. She could like pierce into you and make you question what you're doing for a second. Like, hold on, what? Oh, okay, yeah, I'll share with you, kid. You're cute, you know? And she was a brilliant kid.
What a cute little description of her. And we've talked about this a lot this week, the potential that Maddie had, right? That description, Sour Patch Kid. I used to describe our youngest. What was it that I said about her? It was kind of the same thing. She was, you know how girls are described as sugar and spice and everything nice, you know, that old saying. I used to say that she was just spicy. There was no sugar in her, right? It took a while for her to kind of you know, to show her sweetness, which was definitely in there. And these days it's just something that I really, really love about my daughter, just how feisty she is, and just how certain of herself she is. And I'm sure that's going to be something that's going to be tough when she's a teenager. But this description of Maddie being a Sour Patch Kid, she was just a little sour and you had to get through the sour before you got to the sweet. That is a very parently, fatherly way of describing a child. And I have not heard any description like that come out of Jen or Stefan. Right? In their interviews, it's, well, you know, she's on medication and yeah, she has problems and she has ADHD and, you know, she's always forgetful and stuff like that. And those are the kinds of descriptions that they would give of Madeline. But Stephen here, he has these very pointed, very sweet, very fatherly descriptions of Madeline. She's a Sour Patch Kid. You had to get through the sour to get to the sweet. And I just absolutely love that there was somebody, even if it was for a brief time in marriage, but you know, and even if it was just, I guess, distant after that, the fact that there was somebody there that cared enough and knew her enough to say something like that makes me feel good. And it just reinforces my belief that had she been given the time, if her life was not taken from her, she had the potential to survive and thrive and do well. And it wouldn't have been easy because of her childhood, but she could have done it. Just like all of us, she had that potential. She had that value. And it almost makes it even more sad.
She was smart in many ways, bullheaded and all the rest.
Did she?
I wish. When he first came in the picture for the first couple of years, I remember I asked her all the time because I lived here in Florida. I was like, "Hey, how is he? How's Stefan? Is he treating you nice? Is he good to your mom? Just want to check on him." And yeah, I can go back if you need to look at any of those.
Nah, that's fine.
But yeah.
Do you know if she was pretty open with your daughter?
I feel like she was. I thought she was. I was hoping that the two of them had each other, so if anything ever happened, then they know they could talk to the other, and then somehow it'd get to one of us parents so we could navigate it. That was my goal, was for them to be sisters. To have the other person always confide in that's somewhere else. So, hey, they're not in the same shit you're in. They can help you get out if something's wrong. And that's what I always wanted them to have. But
have you asked your daughter if she's had these type of conversations with Maddie back then?
I've asked my daughter if, like, semi-pointed questions without being too direct on any of this stuff. Just like, you know, like I said before, like, did Stefan ever try and, you know, hang out with you two one-on-one? Did Maddie ever talk about him specifically? But nothing. Like, if I had gotten anything, I would have called you guys. Like, I want anybody responsible for this to have the justice served. No matter who it is, I want them to be taken care of.
How would you describe Jennifer and Maddie's relationship?
They were really close. They were really loving. Jen sometimes could be distant depending on where she was at with her mental state, but she was always there for Maddie.
You know,
sometimes she...
that is something that the roommate said, that she was a good mom and she was there. So, I mean, it's possible that both things are true, that while she's going back and forth between her own mental health issues, right, going into crises and back and so forth, maybe both things are true, that that she was distant and she was also loving, I guess. I mean, I don't think it did Maddie any good, but maybe both things are true.
I don't check out's the right word, but she just would be an overload, and she would just ask her mom to take care of Maddie. But she really did love Maddie, and she really did care about her and Ash, and really tried to take care of them. At least I thought. I just think she's just had so many mental issues that it caused lapses that caused this. If that makes any sense.
This is a difficult question, but it has to be asked, and it's asked of other people as well. Do you think Jen had anything to do, or do you think she had knowledge of what was happening to Maddie?
I've been trying to ask myself that ever since I found out Stefan was...
This is the question that I want the answer to. I mean, I feel confident that I know the answer based on the way Jen has been, but he knew her. He was married to her, in a relationship with her for years, right? 2 years in a relationship, then married for a year, and then in her life as I guess loving ex-partners who loved each other's daughters and so forth. This is the best question that I've heard so far.
Arrested, and I thought that he was, you know, somebody that was there to protect Maddie. And honestly, I think she could have made enough, I don't say stupid decisions, but wrong decisions with timing meds and things like that this kind of stuff could have happened. But I don't think there's any way she would have deliberately known, or if she had known, wouldn't have tried to get her out, you know, of that situation. Like, she has family she can go to. She has friends like me and other places that she knows she can go to another state to escape someone. I felt like if she really felt like she was a danger, she would have gotten out.
This is a little redaction here.
Who do you think she would confide in?
I thought it would have been Ash. I thought it would have been Ash. I was hoping that those two would have a closer relationship, that if something happened.
I want to pause there for a second. Yeah, he is insightful, Mooney. I mean, him knowing her for that long, I mean, it's outside of the realm of possibility that she would know what was going on to her daughter and not do something. But the way that she behaved in her interviews, and, you know, the police pointed out a couple times the whole wanting to defend Stefan, even in the face of knowing what it was, like being shown photographic evidence of what he did to her. I mean, maybe just, I mean, this doesn't excuse it, but maybe her mental health changed so much between the time that Stephen Young was spending lots of time with her and the time that Maddie was murdered, that she just turned into a different person. I don't know. It's tough, man.
Happened to one that could tell the other. Because like, everybody needs someone like that.
How is your daughter taking it?
She's been broken. Like, she's just been... kind of felt like the journey I've been on. It's just feel like the first 5 days is just solid crying, and now it's just feeling numb. Like there's no tears left. It's not that we're not sad. It's just feel empty.
I know when this was all first going down and Stefan got arrested, that you and Jen had conversations about securing an attorney for him and stuff like that.
I thought he was innocent. And I was hoping that, okay, we can get this guy cleared so we can find the right person, and that way it will help everything run smoother. So let's get all the ducks in a row. Let's get him. And like I remember him on the phone. He was like, "I'm on my phone." He was like, "Don't worry about the phone. Like they have it. It's there. So we can buy you another one. You know, it's not a big deal. What you do is let them go through it, do what they need to do, so we know you're clear, and that way they can find who this really was." And that's what. Because I thought that he was there to protect her too.
I'm going to come back to this, Michelle.
But he was asking for his phone. They say why?
I think he meant something like he wanted to check his packages. Like he was always obsessed with buying shit. Always obsessed with buying shit. I didn't quite understand that. Like it threw me off, and I should have questioned it more in that moment when he said it. But I was just in such a frazzle, just like, no, we got to find out who did this. Like if you're not it, let's get you a lawyer so we can make sure everything is done correctly, and then they can move on to find whoever that is. And then like once I found it was him, it was just like I fucking defended this guy. I thought that he was there for her. Like I would not have tried to defend this guy if I knew in any way, shape, or form that he was in any way culpable.
I'm going to come back to this one too, Laura.
What did it change for you?
Which
where you went from, hey, they might have the wrong guy, let's get him an attorney, to that's this guy.
Once I found out that they found all the stuff on his phone. Okay. Once that came out, I'm like, what the? Like, I was surprised.
How did you hear about? Was it through the media or was it through Jen?
A combination of they both about came in at the same time. When I think Jen was in questioning at that time, I wasn't able to talk to her for too much around then. No, I think she had messaged me before I saw it on the media that he was arrested, because she was in shock that she had seen it and was told about it.
You think it was genuine? Her being in shock?
I can never read way through text. Texts are emotionless. It's like I can try and say I can read an emotion, but it's just text. I was a talker at the time, like in person. It's like that's why I need to see people's faces. I need to hear their voice, see their pace to get a better idea. A text is just words on a page. But she just seemed.
This is another redaction here. I think I forgot to shorten this one. I don't know.
And he was just trying to figure out like what degree should this guy be punished, and but like do it, like whatever if he committed a crime and they're asking you to press the charges, do it. And yes, she had told me before I saw on the news, because she was asking, I was like, yes, press the charges, do it. Like, don't question yourself right now. He committed a crime. You let them press the charges. You let the police do what they need to do. So yeah, I did find out before the news.
Like she didn't want to press charges. Is that what we did? I mean, he's saying he advised her to, yes, press charges. That means that she was waffling on whether or not she would press charges. This just baffles my mind. The description of what she was shown. Like, how do you not just go, screw him? Press charges now. Where do I sign? How do you, and then to say stuff like, well, I didn't know he was really capable of evil. I mean, I saw that, yeah, but not murder, right? That would be evil. No, the stuff that you saw is the worst part. So it's the worst part. And I'm sorry to be like direct and maybe even a little crass about this, but the stuff that Maddie was going through for 5 years had no end in sight. At least with the crime of murder, she is at rest. She's out of it. And I'm not downplaying murder, right? But what he had been doing to her was way worse. And I think as a society, we need to recognize that, where like I see these mandatory sentences that people are given for, there was a case here in my area where a man R-worded and and murdered like a 70-something-year-old woman. And, he was convicted for it, and I covered that case. But it was the fourth time. He had never graduated to murder, but he had started assaulting a couple of women, moved on to, worse and worse until he was, and they would plea it down to lower charges, and he'd get a couple years in prison, get 5 years in prison, then he got 20 years in prison. Okay, we're taking this serious, sir. But then when he got out, then he committed murder. Now he will spend the rest of his life in prison. But that is not a consolation for the 3 women who were victims of his after the first victim. Right? We need as a society to understand that this kind of crime is worse than murder. Is absolutely worse than murder. Do not plea these down. Do not plea them down. Prosecute them and put them away as long as you possibly can. And I know that there are lawyers that watch my show, and you guys might be saying, well, there's an argument to be made, Gavin. You might be screaming at your screen right now that, there's no guarantee of conviction if you go all the way to trial. And so pleading things down is a good tool to get somebody at least off of the streets now, right? At least for the next few years. And we don't have to worry about them for a few years. I get that argument, but I just don't buy it. I get the argument. I don't buy the argument. It is a worse crime what Stefan Stearns had been doing to Madeline Soto for 5 years before he finally took her life. How did I get on that? I don't know. Let's continue with Mr. Young.
Jen ever tell you about looking for Maddie or anything like that?
I asked Monday and Tuesday numerous times because I have family in the area and friends in the area that are all willing to come out and help search. And I kept asking. I was like, I can fly out. When can I come out? And she was saying nothing's organized yet. When I tried to talk to family members, they didn't have anything organized yet. And then eventually I saw that, I think it was Orange County requested that nobody be searching the area because my guess is they don't want people disturbing the areas they want to investigate.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I need to wait. I can't go and help search. And that was, I remember I kept asking the first few days, like, can we come out and search? I have family members can help search. Like, are there any organized parties that are happening? And, yeah, she just seemed in utter shock, and she couldn't wrap her head around it.
You seem like you lived in Kissimmee for a little bit, or Kissimmee, Orlando area for a little bit. Ever live in St. Cloud or anything like that?
No.
Does Jen or Stefan have any connections to St. Cloud?
Remember, this is...
that you know of?
They've already found Madeline's body in this interview. They know that she's dead. And they have known it for about 4 days by the time this interview took place. So they're trying to figure out, why did Stefan go to St. Cloud? They're not trying to find Maddie.
Not that I know of.
I know you've been gone for a little bit, but...
The only thing I know that might be dead, because we were trying to look up stuff in the area when they're trying to find the bodies, we found there's a Warhammer store down there. I know who's really into Warhammer. That's in a very expensive game. So I don't know if he's familiar with that store. That's the only thing that I can think of. It. I don't know personally that he went there. It was just a guess that we were trying to look to see if something was associated with them.
All right.
Did he ever disclose anything to you? Maybe not specifically about Maddie or anything, but being into certain things?
No, I was trying to think too if there's anything about sex we ever talked about or relationships or anything like that. The only thing I ever heard is from other...
This is another redaction.
But that's all like secondhand. I have no validity to it. I can't validate anything. It's just secondhand something I heard. So,
and you heard this when?
Recently.
Like when this is going on, or
like
prior to?
Like when this is going on. Okay. I've heard this from people. That I didn't know this beforehand. This is all Yeah.
Last time you talked to Jen?
Yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yeah. I think I texted her earlier today just check on her.
In
Like,
what context?
Just checking on her, see how they're doing. I still feel like her family is really close to me. Like her dad, Juan, and Yolanda have done a lot for me and Ashlyn over the years, even after we split up and divorced. So, like, I'm still trying to go over and help Juan out to get his apartment settled. I'm trying to be there for Yolanda if she needs anything. I do worry about Jen and her mental health, and, you know, if she had nothing to do with this, then I want to be there for her. If she has something to do with this, then take care of her. Like, do what you need to do. Like, I'm not here to defend somebody who's guilty. Anybody that hurt Maddie in any capacity, like, I want you to please do your job. Like, ask me anything you need to know. Like,
do you think Jen had anything to do with it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think she's just gone through a lot, and because of her mental health, it just caused lapses that ended up with this.
Yeah, I will.
Do you think Stefan would take advantage of Jen because of her mental health? Like, was her mental health diminishing? Well, you said it was kind of diminishing when you guys were together. That's one of the reasons you possibly split. Do you think when Stefan got together with her that she continued to degress or progress with her mental health? Or?
Well, it seemed to keep degressing. Not a psychologist, I don't know why that happens. You know, I try and look stuff up, but I'm an armchair expert, so like,
yeah, me too.
You know, it seems like mental health, you know, gets worse in your 30s. Yeah, maybe it's that. Maybe it's, but I'm not a psychologist. I have no idea. I'm just a plumber who
so
loves a lot of people.
Bucks, then.
Not yet. Trying to build a company. We're almost breaking even.
How would you describe her emotions on a normal basis?
Jen or Maddie? Jen? She kind of seems a little muted most days. A lot's happened to her. A lot of things have happened to her. That's been hard for... That would be hard for anybody to live with. And... sometimes she gets excited about things, you know. She definitely gets sad about things. She doesn't seem as outward with her emotions. You have to, like, look at her. But you can see, like, inside, like, she's torn and she's damaged. But the medications make it so you can't see it. Like, she doesn't show it as much as, like, another person would sometimes. But, like, when you know her, you can see it inside of her. You can see how destroyed she is. You can see how anxious she is. You know, she sometimes looks calm. And it's just one of those things, like, once you know somebody for so long, like, you could tell some stuff about them. But
do you think her reactions have been genuine?
I think so. I think she's just, like, really medicating herself right now to get through it, and therefore she's really seeming really numb right now. But yeah, I keep seeing her break down, and how sad she's been, and I feel it's legitimate, but I don't know if it's my own personal involvement with Maddie and my love for her that I don't think anybody else of that could have that capability of not loving Maddie. You know, I mean, it's my own naivety, but my heart doesn't tell me that. But
oh my goodness, like this is a genuinely loving person. I can't think of somebody not genuinely loving Maddie. Like, it's just it's not in the realm of possibility for him. She's that great. Wow. Let's bring his photo up. This is the guy right here. Seems like a genuinely good guy, man.
Again, not a professional.
I know we touched on it a little bit, but have you known any medications that Maddie's on?
That's what we were talking about. I think she was diagnosed with ADD and may have been on ADD med, but I don't know for certain. Okay. I can't, like, swear under any oath that I know she was on meds.
But you did say that medication that, you know, Jen's been taking has caused her to go into a deep sleep or something like that, or
Yeah, I think sometimes like I don't know exactly which meds will knock her out, but I know I've been on meds before that make me completely knock out and, you know, pass out for the night and use the time them for bedtime just to make sure, you know, like after all the parenting hours are done, you know, gotta take it then. And I don't know which one she's been on and when, but I've been on medication like that for depression before, and sometimes they just knock you out. Like, you can't help the medication. That's what the doctor says is going to help you. You know, you try and work with the doctor so you can get better. And
how long are you staying down here for?
My wife and daughter are going to be flying back on Thursday.
We're in about the last 2 minutes of this,
Clear
guys.
out some of the apartment on Thursday. I'll be flying on Friday.
I've got some comments that I want to circle back
have my phone
around to.
number. Let me know. If there's anything you want me to ask my daughter, I really don't want her to get brought in to get questions. Like, I don't want her to get too scarred. But if you guys have questions you would like me to ask her, and I can try and approach her in a soft way, like I'd be happy to help in any way I can. I just want to make sure I'm not scarring her anymore.
Let me ask you this: does your daughter? Does she see any kind of therapist or anything like that on a regular basis?
Just before all this, we got her to occupational therapist, and we just got her started with a main therapist, like with a EAP 10-session program. And so that's where we're trying to get her back on Thursday because her first appointment's on Friday. But yeah, we're trying to.
Does her therapist know what's going on?
She is aware of what's going on. Social work at school is aware of what's on.
Oh, man.
And then her occupational therapist is aware, just so they all know before she steps in, you know, everything.
Okay. Are they on board if she discloses something to them, to that law enforcement, or, you know?
Yeah, if there's something pertaining to this case that she finds out or they find out, like, I want them to be able to share it. Like, I will.
Because I know they can't share information with us because it's a patient client.
I could talk to the therapist beforehand and ask him, like, hey, if you find out anything about this fraud, we need to contact some people so they can get the right information over. Is that
I'll come back to this one,
that's
surely.
between you and the therapist. We can't get involved in that.
right? But is that what you're asking?
If she happens to mention something during therapy and that is told to you, can you just please let me know?
Yes. Yes. If there's anything pertaining to this that will help out, like, I will definitely let you guys know. Again, if anybody is part of this, I want justice to be served.
Anything else, do you?
That's a great interview.
All right, we are going. It is 3:13. We are going to conclude this interview.
That is the end of it, guys. That was a good interview. Well, you know, I was about to say I'm really impressed with Stephen Young. And I don't want to take away anything from who he is. I'm just like, we're comparing him to Stefan Stearns, right? So yeah, like he is what a person should be, you know, when it comes to their children. It's kind of the bare minimum, right? And I'm sure that he surpasses the bare minimum and so forth. But you know what I mean? It's just, he stands out as a bright, shiny star because everybody else is just so terrible. Okay, a couple questions here that came in that I starred and I want to address here real quick. Gavin, what's the latest on Jen Soda's whereabouts? She's gone very quiet. I've been reading the comments on my videos where people are reporting that she's out and about in the area, but I can't corroborate those, so I'm not going to pass those along. What I would say is that we know that she's represented by counsel. I hope that she's represented by good counsel and that the counsel that he's giving her is lay low. Don't go out and do, you know, crazy things like, what's her name? Casey. Why am I forgetting her name? Kaylee's mom. Hold on. You guys are like screaming at your screens. Casey Anthony, right? Don't go out and be a Casey Anthony in this is probably the advice that she's been getting, and it's good advice. So I would expect that she would have gone very quiet. Tiffany asked, Gavin, do you know if they've questioned his daughter to make sure he didn't touch her? So at the end of that interview, they said that she is in therapy, which I'm all for, and that the therapist would alert them if they learned anything, but he did not want her to talk to police. Now, this was back in March 5th, so there's a lot that's happened in the more than 7 months between now and the time the interview took place. So maybe she has been talked to. Michelle St. Malo, Gavin, as long as Jen doesn't lie, she won't be arrested. That's what derivative immunity is. Let me just bring you over to my blog real quick. I'm gonna bring you over here, and this is where you should go to learn a little bit about derivative use immunity. Okay, so what Michelle was saying, let me bring it up here on this screen. What Michelle is saying is sort of, you're sort of there, Michelle. And by the way, on this channel, we all get to disagree with one another as long as we are civil with one another. So I just want to let you know that I'm grateful for the comment. I'm not attacking you. Let me just tell you why I disagree. Okay. The derivative use immunity that she was given means that she is immune from anything that any evidence or any information that the police are able to get because of her testimony, as long as she doesn't lie. Okay. And then anything that comes out of that. So if they found like the smoking gun, but then because they found the smoking gun, because of Jen's interview with them, they found like the smoking cannon, then Jen is immune from the smoking cannon too, even if she is the one who like loaded the cannonball and fired the shot, right? However, there are a couple of big ifs. My wife calls howevers fancy butts. So fancy butt here. If they could have gotten to that smoking gun in another way, even though they got there originally because Jen told them, if they would have gotten there another way, she has no immunity on it. If they got to the smoking cannon another way, she has no immunity on it. So it's not like the best immunity deal ever for Jen. It might be one of the reasons that I think maybe she was just that clueless, that she decided to go ahead and take that deal. It's not blanket immunity. It's not full immunity. But yeah, take a look at my website, go to the blog, and then check out that article. And I think I did a pretty good job of explaining what that is. But thank you for that comment, Michelle. Laura, Gavin, do you think Maddie thought of herself as being his girlfriend? Maddie's best friend said she texted Stefan like 3 times a day or more. I think he groomed her that way. Yeah, I think probably. I mean, an 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old girl having been abused the way that she was, I'm sure that he had her convinced that what she was feeling was love. So, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Art. Gavin, sorry I'm late. I forgive you, Art. Thank you for coming. Did you see the story about the Hunter middle school teacher that got locked up for CSA-MCP? Yes, I did. So this is a teacher at Madeline's school. Let me just bring this up. Let me see if I can find this in the news. It's not coming up easily, but yes, I did see the news. So it appears that in this area, actually kind of like all areas, there is some predation that is happening all around little ones, all over the place. One of the things that kind of like is a double-edged sword with my day job is that I read most of the criminal complaints that get filed. I don't request every criminal complaint, but anytime there's something a little bit more than, DUI or something like that, I usually request them and I read them. A lot of this stuff happens in my area. And if you guys, I know some of you know my area, but we live in maybe the most picturesque place on the earth, in the cutest little town that looks like it belongs inside a snow globe. I mean, honestly, there have been no Hallmark movies filmed here that I know of, but they all could be filmed here, that kind of thing. And this sort of stuff happens all the time. There are predators everywhere. It's very important to have open dialogue with your children. And it's not just your daughters. It's also your sons that could be victims. So have very open, very honest dialogues with your children, and protect them. Last comment that I put a star on was from Shirley Temple. Excuse me. Put on my cough button there. Why am I so against Jen? I don't know that I'm against her. Like if I could still be convinced that she's completely innocent in this. To me, it's just that the evidence points in the other way. I think that her behavior after Maddie was gone, I think that her behavior at the hotel, I think that her behavior when they were searching their apartment, when she was talking to police after Stefan had been arrested and she'd been confronted with photographic evidence of what had happened to her daughter, and based on the reports, based on the interview audio, I think it points that direction. I really do. Now, I'm open to the possibility, like Mr. Young said, maybe she just was so down a mental health rabbit hole that she just couldn't. She didn't have the ability to know what was going on. She didn't know what was going on. She was sufficiently maybe conditioned herself by the predator to not ask questions and not think. Like that is something that coercive controlling people do, right? We've coined a term over the last few years, the whole gaslighting thing, where she might even feel guilty for thinking that he could have done that to her daughter. Yeah, that is in the realm of possibility. I just don't think it's in the realm of probability. And so I think that she probably does bear some responsibility here. But as far as like my personal feelings toward Jennifer Soto, and you guys might hate this, but I don't feel anything. I'm not angry. I'm not, I don't feel any type of need for vengeance or any. In fact, I can take these off. I don't need these anymore. I don't feel anything toward her beyond, I think that she is partly responsible for the death and continued abuse of her daughter over the course of 5 years, and that she should be held responsible for that. But I mean, maybe I'm just talking in circles here. I'm open to the possibility of being wrong. Wouldn't be the first time today that I was wrong. So, yeah, I appreciate that comment. Let me just see if there are any other comments that have come in while I've been talking here. Go all the way down to the bottom. I probably missed a couple. Yeah. Rhiannon asking, do I think that Stearns, did he directly abuse Jen? That is in the realm of possibility. Yeah. Debbie, Gavin, please give your Facebook name again. Yeah, if you go over to my website, which is gavinfish.com, it's linked down below, and click on this little fishy up here in the corner. It'll turn yellow when you mouse over it. That will take you to the fish tank, and it has my name on it, the Fish Tank, fans of Gavin Fish True Crime. I'm not really all that comfortable with the term fans, but Jamie, who is the main Jamie and Autumn, who administer this page, they assure me that that is the correct word. I'm pretty uncomfortable with it. But that's where you go if you're on Facebook. And yeah, we've got like 2,400 people in there. We're having a very good time. And by the way, there's a contest going on. Jamie's doing little fun stuff because we're coming up on 100,000 subscribers. We've made 50 numbered buttons coming up on 100,000 subscribers of me wearing my ascot. If you're new to the channel, I got an ascot for my birthday. And just look at this. Oh my goodness, look at that ascot. I actually wore it to church on Sunday. That's right. I wear an ascot now. So win yourself one of the 50 buttons that we are shipping out to people who are helping us reach our goal of 100,000 subscribers. And it changes kind of day to day. You'll have to just join and talk to Jamie about it. She has posts and stuff telling everybody what it is that we're doing over there. But I hope you join us over there. Speaking of communities, before we wrap it up for the day, let's see where we are. See if there's any movement on that. Oh my goodness, we are so close to 94.9. We're 3 away, which just blows me away, guys. I've been doing this for 4 years. I've enjoyed it all. No, Gavin, don't. I'm remembering my YouTube journey through rose-colored goggles. It has been tough. There were 2 times that I quit and took a break and came back. So it hasn't been all sunshine and roses, but man, has it been a journey, and I'm so glad that you are sharing it with me. Remember that tomorrow we are going to be doing one more video on this case. We're going to be talking with Detective Brian Bennett, who is an expert specifically in strangulation, and we're going to talk about the way that Maddie died. So please join us, 7:30 Eastern tomorrow. Don't know what time it is where you are, but I am confident that you'll be able to do the calculations better than I could. Okay? So with that, I will bid you adieu until tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.